Um, Good evening, guys. Okay, Scatterverse again. We're looking at accounting for overheads, and this is the question we're looking at. Okay, you're given, like I've been saying, or like I earlier said, these questions are the same, but they always try to change the way they look like or the format. Just I think either to confuse you, or I don't know really what's the intention. Okay, but otherwise, this is supposed to be clear for you. The first lines were clear, introducing to you the different cost centers, okay, where you have the product centers and the service centers. You know, those are important for either for both step one, what you call it, step two, the primary analysis, and step three, secondary analysis. Okay, those steps that we follow when we are computing or accounting for overheads. Okay, so usually when they ask you to compute for either ABC or traditional method, and you're having cost centers more than 2 or 3, okay, always draw your schedule. Okay, so with the schedule, always have your overhead or details, then have the basis if it is ABC. If it's traditional, you don't have to have that column. Then have the column for totals, and then the column for the different cost centers. Okay, so here you're given machines X and Y, then assembly. So those were 3 product centers. And then you had service centers as materials, procurement, and general factory support. So you had 5 cost centers. Okay, clearly making sure that you know the product centers and the service centers. Okay, so you're given indirect wages and supervision as the first overhead. But in this case, it was allocated for you. So they already clearly split for you and did that for you. Same thing applied to indirect materials. They also split for you, right? Then what was not split was these others, lighting and the others. Okay, and then you're given cost drivers, what you call the basis. Okay, clearly showing you that you have book value, you had area, you had number of employees, direct labor, and hours, then machine hours. And then you're given this additional information, which was about direct and indirect material. Okay, details of total materials. You had the direct and indirect. And they're saying that to the production centers, they were as follows: 4 million, 3 million, 1 million. Let me first see how that relates. This is 8M, and we had indirect materials somewhere. Or was it? Yeah, indirect material. We had it here. Okay, so we had some already given away. So we're given an extra amount of 8M. Okay, which is supposed to really clearly identify where it falls. So let's look at the worksheet. Okay, so I tried to transfer the information in the worksheet. Okay, and this is how now the thing looks like. Okay, you have the overhead, you have the different cost centers, then you have the different expenses. Okay, then you had another dispatch on direct materials where you had 8M and it was split as such. So everything was done for us. Okay, and then now we had the activity. I've just tried to redo the information, but I know the order was different in the question, but I'm sure you're still getting it. But we had the total columns, then we had the splits for X, Y, and assembly, and so forth. All right, so this is the information, guys. So you're supposed to just do the needful. Okay, so given the information that I have, I'm supposed to apply ABC really. I can't apply to addition in this case, since I wasn't given the information regarding tradition. So we're saying for ABC, okay, we all know that for those that are not split yet or allocated, maybe before I talk about that, allow me comment on the steps. Okay, let me just comment on the steps. The steps are 4 steps. Okay, 4 steps. Okay, when you check in the book, sorry, in the handout that we're given, they're not 4 steps. They are actually different. Okay, but they're about 5. Is it 5, 7, something like that? Okay, but the first 2 steps, specifically, we're talking about step 1 of accounting for overheads, which basically is identification of the overhead. Okay, identification and classification of the overhead. Let me put other things that fall here, which is collection, classification. Okay, that's the first step. This step clearly just says that you identify the overhead that, for example, in this case, you have insurance, okay, and determine its amount. That's the first step. Under the ABC, I think it was split into 2. To identify the overhead activity and then the amount or the resources attached to it. Then step 2 is what we call the primary analysis. Okay, primary analysis. Okay, or we call it allocation of overheads to all cost centers. So the keyword there is all, okay, regardless whether it is production or service center. Then step 3 is secondary analysis. Okay, then step 4 is what you call the absorption, or you call it the cost unit. Okay, so under ABC, these 2 steps are, I think, they're what? These 2 steps, okay, especially step 2, it is split. Okay, they tell you what you actually do, that you are supposed to identify the cost drivers of that particular overhead. Okay, and then you determine what you call the rate or the absorption rate as far as the ABC is concerned. Okay, which is basically got by the portion. In this case, for example, if you look at X, it's the portion which is 8,000 divided by the total, which is 15M. That is if you're using book value as the activity. We shall see how to apply this. I'm just trying to give you a highlight. Then the other thing is what you call absorbing. Okay, or you're attaching the rate to the overhead itself. So you get the rate that you got here by dividing and multiply it by the overhead itself. We shall see how we apply that. And then after that, step 3 says that you do what? You reallocate what you're calling the secondary method, secondary analysis. You reallocate overheads in support centers to production centers. Okay, then the last step is where you get the totals divided by the number of units. I don't think in this case we needed step 4 since we don't have a number of units. Okay, so that was the highlight. Allow me just now do. Okay, so they're saying for X, therefore, as far as lighting and heating is concerned, the first thing is to determine the basis. Okay, so given the information, you have book value, you have area, you have number of employees, you have direct labor, you have machine. Okay, in my opinion, I think the best option here is area as the cost driver. Okay, I think it's the best option here. All right, so others may think otherwise, but with ABC, you try to be logical. You try to make sense. You cannot say, for example, you cannot use book value of a machine when we're talking about light and heating. How is that supposed to be connected? How is the book value supposed to affect whether we are using too much light or too much heat, something like that, right? Number of employees, for example, how is that supposed to affect? Okay, so I don't want to really comment about that. I hope we get on this. Okay, so after getting the basis, you know that you're going to use area. Then you come accordingly and you get now the portions. So for X, we're saying the rate, or what you call the portion. It is given by the 10 divided by the total. Okay, so that is 10 over 50. And then you attach the rate to the cost of the overhead itself. So in short, I'm saying it is this divided by that to get the portion, then the entire portion they apply it or attach it to the overhead. That is what you will get. Do the same for y. Why you're saying the portion is 5,000 divided by the total, which is 50 times the overhead itself. Okay. So as simple as that. Assembly. So for these ones, let me be fast since you already know what to do. Okay. Overhead itself. Material is saying this one divided by this one times overhead itself. Okay, and then this one. So okay, so the way I usually check myself is when I add this to give me the total, but others check themselves differently. So that is it. You have apportioned, light, and heating. You go to property tax. Property tax, you ask yourself, book value, area, number of employees, hours. What would be the best option? Okay, since there are taxes, okay, and taxes are based on amount and values. Personally, I think that the book value of the machine will be the answer here. Okay, others can think differently, right? But make sure that you think within the same line. Otherwise, if you choose any other option, for example, I wonder how we would defend it. Okay, feel free to share in the chat if you think otherwise, as far as the basis is concerned. But personally, I think this is the book value. So same story, X portion is under book value, is 8M divided by the total 15. Attach it to the overhead to get the answer. Okay. Same thing with this one. This 5M divided by the total times 1M. Okay. Respond to some of your charts. Someone is saying area. Area for property tax. This divided by this times this. Okay, so as you give options, always make sure it's the best option. Okay, someone would say if you're doing rentals, I think area would work. Okay, and I'm saying maybe fine, but how about if I depreciate my assets or property? Okay, and I'm having net book value. Why do you think the tax is charged? Remember under tax, for those who did that was what? For those who did that can't be implement income. Yeah, for those who did implement income. Remember us depreciating motor vehicle to determine somebody's net income. Okay. So some will put here area, but I won't believe that you may be marked wrong. Okay? Always choose the best option. Let's go to insurance. Insurance of machine and machinery, I think still is on its book value. Hence you come and say book value. Okay, start. So still do the same thing, portions. But these ones are the same. You can just okay, don't work. But it is this divided by that times this. Okay, so what is constant here is this should be constant. So I'm just going to fix this so that since I'm tired of 1/4, so I just drag. But we all have the idea now how we do the thing. Let me see what someone is saying. I think it should be area. Kindly, which one? Ivan. Property tax or something else? Or insurance? Which one are you saying exactly? It should be area. Then we go to depreciation of machine. I think that one is still obvious. Still book value. How come it was so common now? Book value when I scroll. Okay, don't work. Saying it's this. Times this. Okay. So what I'm doing is what you know. So shouldn't be an issue really. Just trying to finish chap. If I may respond to your chat, I think book value for property. Okay. So Ivan thinks that for property tax should have used area, and Jackie thinks like I do, should be book value. Okay, I want you to justify. Don't just tell me that it's area. Kindly give your reasons why you think the answer is area and not what, not book value. From I've said that since taxes respects depreciation, okay, and yet net book value is based, or the book value is based on depreciated amount. I'm saying it's supposed to use net book value or the book value for property taxes. Okay. Area, and I'm saying that area, first of all, taxes are not charged on coverage and square meters. No, they're charged on the value of the assets. Those are taxes. I'm not getting it right, but there's no way you can come and charge me. Say I'm charging you 20M because your area is big. I don't think that's how they charge taxes. It's based on the value of the asset that we charge tax. Okay. Insurance. For insurance of building, you also know insurance uses book value. I hope you know that. That's why if you go to insure your car, for example, okay, I know we all don't have cars. Most of us don't have cars, but they'll ask you for the value, the agreement, first of all, when you bought the car. Okay. And after that, should they find that the car was bought maybe a couple of years ago, for a long time, meaning you've been using it for a long time, the value they charge also really is small. Okay. Unlike if it was totally new car. Okay, so this one I think is straight. You don't have to explain a lot. Okay. Then we have salaries. Okay. For salaries, we are saying salaries where they, here we can use direct labor hours since they're salaries. And I think that is really clear. Hours. This one I think does not debate. So it is 1M divided by 30, sorry, 3M times the amount we are distributing. Okay, split 2M divided by 3M times the amount we are distributing. Yes, I have nothing, so it's 0, 0, 0. All right, so by doing that, we are done with the overheads. Okay, so then you add, okay, total overheads. Total overheads, just add overheads alone first. So you have that. And then you attach direct material to get the total production. So I'm saying with these questions, be keen to follow through. If they're asking for total production costs, then you add everything. If they're asking for total overheads, then be keen to only add overheads. Don't include your direct, your prime costs. You will lose the marks there. Okay. So that's total overhead, then total production cost is this. All right. So guys, I want to say this is what you call accounting for overheads using the ABC. Because I think the book value insurance of building, I would go with area still. You guy, Ivan, this thing ABC is scientific in nature, and because it's scientific, it involves thinking. You don't just say because you feel like. You must have a logic reason why you think it's supposed to be this. Okay, because I think the book value only applies for machine and not buildings. Okay. Did I make an error here? Okay, but I think you're right now. Insurance of buildings. You can only use what? I don't think you can use book value for machinery. No. Yeah, I think you're right here. Insurance of building. The word is building, so it's supposed to be area. Okay, it's the best option here. It can be book value. Thanks, thanks, Ivan. Okay, guys. So following the change, of course, this is Excel. Once you make an error and just correct it, it just makes be fine. So, guys, that is it. Okay, so we're going to look at step 3, which is secondary analysis. You're supposed to move this course from support centers, which were 2, material procurement and general factory, and then you divide them or split them or portion them to these centers. Okay, so for this one, since we are revising, we're going to look at all the steps. Okay, we apply them accordingly. Okay, so we're looking at now secondary analysis. This is primary analysis, so we're now looking at secondary analysis. Okay, so for secondary analysis, we all know, okay, we all know what to do. But for direct method, what we do is that you bring these ones here, the way they are, and you divide them or you give them away. So just for purposes of being organized, let me bring this down. Okay, so for direct, we all know that you just move everything to where it belongs. So always, of course, we move with the biggest first. So our general factor is the biggest. So we're saying move this one first. So we're saying reallocating or allocating general factory. So in allocation, we're saying this is going away. Okay. So because it's going away, we're saying what can we use? What's the best? What can be the best basis to give away this money, to give away this overhead? So general. Let me just confirm the whole heading. What's called general what? General factory. Okay. Let me check the question and see it in full. It's called general factory support. General factory support. So what would be our best basis? Kindly share your ideas still. We see. Personally, I think general factory support. I think, in my opinion, it is labor hours. General factory support. I don't know what others think. Okay, but personally, I think the basis here is direct labor. I mean, it is support. So let's see labor. But if you think otherwise, feel free to share. Okay, so indirect method, we only concentrate on people who are going to benefit, who are going to share. So because of that, we're saying it's X, Y, and assembly. So when I come to my direct labor, but I think guys, employees or direct labor, which one do you think is the right one? Feels like number of employees would be the best answer here, not direct labor hours.
Yes, employees, yeah.
So I think employees would be better. So number of employees. Now, unfortunately for this one, I don't have a justification. But I think the employees, since employees are the ones who bring about the labor hours, so I think employees should be the ones who, therefore, should be the best basis. So I don't know what others think, but I think it's now employees based on the options that I have. It's better than direct labor hour. So, like I said, you come here and look for only those who are going to participate in the sharing. So here we have the total is it's 800. Okay. So let's take example, X is going to be 300 divided by 800 times what you're sharing. What you're sharing is the 16533 positive. Eh? Then for Y, it is 200 divided by 800 times what you're sharing. Okay. Then for assembly, it is still 300, so it's the same answer here as this. Okay. So, guys, unless you have any questions, that's how we do the first thing. You split, you give away the first overhead, sorry, the first service center, the biggest, the largest goes first, and then you only give to product centers only. Then you come still and reallocate now. Reallocate still. Reallocate material procurement. Okay, still here, supposed to determine the basis before you allocate. Okay, allocating that, so here it comes here as a negative, that thing. Then you say, what's the basis we should use for material procurement? So for material procurement, I don't know. Which one do you think it should use? Material. It feels like area. Kindly confirm. Personally, I think it's area because of the occupancy. Okay, so I think area is the best option here. Okay, I don't think I can use book value. And the others, of course, are totally out. Direct labor hours and machine hours, number of employees, I think that's one totally out. So I think it is area. Okay. For those who disagree, feel free to share. Okay. Then for X, so you're still saying direct method looks at only those who are going to share, and those are product centers. So you're saying it is area, so you come to area and say, is this and this? The total here is 35. Hence, my X, okay, it's not 35. Sorry. It's only this. It is 30. Okay. Hence, you're saying this will be 10 divided by 30,000 and what we're sharing. Okay. Then the next one is X5 divided by total 30,000 times the sharing, 1.4. Then assembly is 15,000, right? The sharing 15,000. That. Okay. So how you know you're right is when you add this, it should give you what you're giving out, which is 1.4. Okay. This guy doesn't get anything because it's service center. That's the direct method. After you add, when I added these ones, the answer is a 0 here. And yeah, that is it. So you can call it secondary analysis, or you can call it total secondary analysis, or you can call it whatever you want. This is my answer. So guys, that's the direct method. Let's look at elimination. Okay, so you have agreed that our basis for allocating material and general factory are those: number of employees and area. Since I'm not seeing any comments, so let's look at elimination. Okay, elimination. You can call it step down or stepwise. You can call it elimination. So for this one, you're saying, let's remove these figures. Okay, we're saying still you're going to use the basis that we're agreed upon, but for elimination it says that you come and pick the biggest first and distribute it to everyone, including any service center involved. Hence we're saying you're distributing this one. Okay, distributing that. Okay, distributing that. We're saying that we're using number of employees. So when it comes to number of employees, so we have, but you're saying the only people involved right now is going to be X, Y, assembly, and material, giving me a total of 900. Okay, so meaning that X will get his portion over 900. Okay, then times what you're giving out. What you're giving out is 1.6. Okay, same story here. That is 200 divided by what? Total, which is 900 times what you're giving away. Okay, assembly, something, 300 divided by 900 times what you're giving away. And now maintenance still, it's part of the sharers, hence that divided by 900 times what we're giving away. Okay, that is step one of elimination. Right? Then step two. Step two says that you come to the next biggest service center with the new totals. Okay. And then you allocate that without allocating to the one that has already been allocated. So we only have one left. So there's not the biggest not going to work. So we get the totals here. The totals here. So I add these, saying it's this and that. Okay, giving me 1.5. So what I'm going to give away. That's why it's negative. Okay, and I'm saying the only beneficiaries is assembly and X and Y, but we're using area to distribute. So come to your area and get the totals for only the participants. It is 30. Okay, hence shall have what are we, for X it is 10 divided by 30,000 times what we're giving away now is 15. Okay, then for Y it is 5,000 divided by 30,000 times what we're giving away, which is 1.5. Assembly it is 15,000 divided by 30,000 times what we're giving away. Okay, so of course this one is not going to get anything. When you add these, it's supposed to give you the same what you're giving away. Okay. So that is it, elimination. So there are only two, so there's no hassle really. Then you add. In adding, you're saying your service centers must come to 0. Hence 0 there, and 0 for material. But for product centers, are getting rid of those. Guys, that is elimination. Assuming that assembly was also a service center, assuming it was a service center, we're saying, okay, so we have assumed, okay, and assuming the service center, we're saying, okay, before we give away, okay, if assembly was service center, we're saying after giving away general factory, supposed to come and ascertain the total of this one. This one is 1.59, and also ascertain the total of this. This one is 3.5, meaning that assembly is bigger than what? Material. So in distributing, we'll distribute this one first. Let me see. That was, I think, area is property area tax, because property tax is levied on land, which is area. No, land is not area. Are you saying that rental tax is not property tax? Shakira, are you saying that rental tax is not property tax? Or are you saying that which other things can we think about? For now in Uganda, we only tax on rentals. We don't tax other things. I don't think Shakira, you're still right. So let me see, continue what I was saying. So we're saying assembly would be bigger in this case, assuming it was a service center. Okay. This property tax by plant machinery. Machinery. So are you saying that what? Taxes levied on cars are not property tax? Rent is online. Yes, I know it's online. But no, it's not on land. It's on buildings, house rentals. You know, the Muzimba. It's not on land. It is on thingy. On actually, it's charged even on the rental income that you're supposed to be obtaining, not the house itself. Okay, allow me just make this point first. Then we can argue a bit later. This is 1 minute left. So for thingy, for assuming assembly was what? Was a service center, and sets using a basis of assembly would be what? Need to be still number of employees, but let's try direct labor hours. Okay, it's just a scenario created, so don't give it a lot of thought. So we're saying this one is bigger, so it should be split first, right? So this would give to material, but it wouldn't give to general thingy, general factory. Okay, so you split accordingly. So okay, time has lapsed on this one. Let's start from this. Let's start from there in the next link.